On October 7, 1826, in the town of Quincy, Massachusetts, the first commercial railway in the United States began operation. It was called the Granite Railway. The line was only 3 miles long, connecting the granite quarries of Quincy to a dock on the Neponset River. But even though it was short, it changed the future of American transportation forever. Before 1826, the idea of laying iron rails on the ground and running carts on them was considered experimental. After the Granite Railway proved it could work, railroads started spreading across the entire country. The reason this railway was built was purely practical. Boston was planning to build the Bunker Hill Monument to remember the American Revolution. The monument needed massive blocks of granite, and the best quality granite was found in the quarries of Quincy. Moving those stones by horse-drawn wagons on dirt roads was slow, expensive, and damaged both the roads and the wagons. Engineers realized that if they laid wooden rails and ran carts on wheels, the stones could be moved faster and cheaper. So they designed a railway. When we hear the word train today, we imagine steam engines, passenger coaches, tickets, and stations. But the Granite Railway had none of that in 1826. There were no steam locomotives yet. There were no passenger seats, no timetables, and no stations. This railway was built only for freight. Its only job was to move granite stone from the quarry to the river. The carts were simple wooden flat cars with iron wheels. They were open on all sides. There was no roof, no walls, and no comfort. Workers would load the granite blocks onto the carts at the quarry, and then horses would pull the carts along the rails to the dock. The track itself was built in a unique way. The distance between the two rails, called the gauge, was 5 feet. Today, the standard gauge for U.S. railroads is 4 feet 8.5 inches, so the Granite Railway was actually wider than modern trains. The rails were made of wood and people confidence in railroads. Just 5 years after it opened, in 1830, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad started carrying passengers. That was the beginning of passenger rail service in America. From there, railroads grew quickly. By the end of the 1800s, the United States had thousands of miles of track connecting cities and states. The Granite Railway closed in 1866. By that time, newer and larger railroads had been built to connect Quincy directly with Boston, and road transport had also improved. The old tracks were removed and the land was used for roads. But the path of the railway did not disappear. Today, that 3-mile route is known as the Granite Railway Trail. It is a walking and biking path where people can still follow the exact route that the first American railway used. The legacy of the Granite Railway is much bigger than its size. It was only 3 miles long. It only carried stone. It only used horses for most of its life. But it proved that railroads could work in America. It taught engineers how to design tracks, wheels, and carts. It showed businessmen that rail transport could save time and money. Without this small railway in Quincy, the massive railroad network that later connected the entire United States might have started much later. So when we talk about the oldest train in the USA, we are talking about the Granite Railway of 1826. It was not fast, it was not large, and it did not carry people. But it was the first. The first charter, the first rails, the first proof that a nation could be connected by rail. From this 3-mile line, America built over 140,000 miles of railroad track. The Granite Railway started with granite and horses, and it ended by moving an entire country forward. Modern trains. The rails were made of wood and then topped with thin strips of iron to make them stronger. Under the rails, instead of wooden sleepers, the builders used large blocks of granite. That is one reason the railway got its name. The design was created by Gridley Bryant, a builder and engineer who understood that stone would last longer than wood. Power for the railway came from horses. One horse could pull 2 or 3 carts at a time, and each cart carried about 5 to 6 tons of granite. The speed was slow compared to today, around 8 to 10 kilometers per hour. But on dirt roads, moving that much weight was almost impossible. On rails, it became easy. The trip from the quarry to the Neponset River dock took about 30 to 40 minutes to cover the 3 miles. At the dock, cranes would lift the granite blocks from the carts onto boats, and the boats would carry the stone to Boston where the Bunker Hill Monument was being built. Building the Granite Railway cost about $40,000.